At this time, the investigation indicates that one of the adult males shot and killed the two victims prior to killing himself with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. After further investigation, it was determined that the suspect was the father of the two additional deceased individuals. The reporting party was the mother of the two deceased individuals. The father was identified as David Lee Housden, a 55-year-old male. The two victims were identified as 20-year-old Alexander David Housden and 16-year-old Kaylee Nicole Housden. Kaylee Housden was a student at Atkins High School, and Alexander Housden was a current student at Winston-Salem State University. Next of kin has been notified. This is the 43rd and 44th homicide of 2023 compared to 33 at the same time last year. Our heartfelt condolences go out to the family and loved ones of the family involved in this incident. We ask that you please respect the family's privacy at this time. Due to this being our second murder-suicide incident this year, resulting in the death of 7 lives being lost, we've asked our mental health partners to speak further on resources available in our community. I will now welcome Andy Hagler up to the podium from the Mental Health Association.
Good morning. My name is Andy Hagler. I'm the Executive Director of the Mental Health Association in Forsyth County. We are a nonprofit, non-governmental advocacy organization in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County and area that we help people access services, help people access care to services, and we also provide a number of trainings, including the crisis intervention team trainings to our local first responders. And first of all, before I say anything else, I just want to express my sincere condolences and sympathies to the families involved in this horrific tragedy that happened earlier today. While we know that about somewhere around 20% in any given time of persons in our communities, in our towns and cities and states live with some type of mental health issue. And we know that somewhere around half of that 20% live with very severe mental illnesses. We also know that, contrary to what some people may believe, most people who live with very serious mental disorders are not prone to crime. There's no propensity to violence or crime. However, we also know that somewhere around 4% of those who live with serious mental health issues, which is about the same percentage as the general population, sometimes may have that propensity or whatever for crime, again, due to untreated, undiagnosed mental health issues, perhaps maybe due to substance use issues, to past trauma from the individual, and to domestic abuse, domestic violence, and to oftentimes a lot of trauma. And so unfortunately, and very sadly, these things do happen. However, we as a community organization really try to work to help people access services, and we're very fortunate here in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County, to have an array of services available for individuals, whether they are uninsured or whether they have insurance. We have free services available in the community, as well as oftentimes just family support services. Because we also know that sometimes persons with mental illness and severe mental illness may not want to seek care. And so again, where we encourage families to go out and seek support. And so we have organizations like our local National Alliance on Mental Illness that provides an array of family support services. But we also have a lot of nonprofits in the area, such as Family Services, CareNet Counseling, who provide low-cost treatment and services, as well as Daymark Recovery Services, Monarch Behavioral Health, and a lot of agencies that can serve those who are uninsured or have very, very limited resources. So again, my heartfelt condolences to those involved. And I ask that the community please contact us, search our website. We are here for everybody in the community, and it's far important that we help people get the care and access to services that they need to work to prevent this and other tragedies in our community. Thank you.
Good morning. Tricia McManus, Superintendent. My heartfelt condolences also go out to the family. When this type of tragedy occurs, obviously the family is deeply impacted, and so are all of those that knew the family, and especially our student at Atkins. And so we have a crisis team on site now. Our students and staff are finding out at about this time as well. And so we have a crisis team ready, and this is, they are there to talk to every student and every staff member that knew our student, both in the classroom and in any extracurricular activities. And so they're there and will be there for unlimited time for students. They'll go into individual classrooms and do group counseling and group sessions as needed. And it could be just today, it could be all week. And so that's very important that our students, this is something that will create lasting trauma for both the family and our kids and our staff members. And so they'll be there unlimited until as needed, until every child and every adult that needs help gets that help that they need. So again, deeply sorry. This is a terrible tragedy that will impact many, many people. So thank you.
My name's Allison Marion. I am a sergeant currently assigned to the agency's Victim Assistance Unit. And the Winston-Salem Police Department is committed to providing the highest standard of customer service to our citizens. One of the ways that we accomplish this is by training and certifying our officers in crisis intervention. This training teaches our officers to recognize individuals suffering from a mental health crisis and provides them with skills and resources to obtain services for those individuals. Should you find yourself in need of our services, you can ask our 911 dispatchers for an officer trained in crisis intervention. Citizens may also request a BEAR unit. BEAR stands for Behavioral Evaluation and Response Team, and is comprised of counselors trained to provide compassionate mental health intervention to the citizens of Winston-Salem through collaborations with community partners. The Winston-Salem Police Department Victim Assistance Unit works in collaboration with local community resources, and some of those resources include Family Services, Eliza's Helping Hands, Parenting Path, all of which provide counseling services. Our local domestic violence crisis hotline number is 336-723-8125. This number is manned 24 hours, 7 days a week. There's also the National Suicide Hotline at 1-800-784-2433. I would also like to remind our employees of our agency's peer support team, as well as EAP. Should you feel the need to speak to someone, please know that these and other agency resources are always available to you. Thank you.
That concludes our press conference. If you have any specific questions related to mental health resources, please ask now.
I was just going to ask, it's not kind of with the investigation, were there any calls for service to that address prior to this incident?
We don't have that information right now, no, so we'd have to look into that.
Are we able to get the spelling of the names for the individuals involved?
Mm-hmm. The last name is Housden, and then I'll email out all their first names with middle names like right after this. So, but that's the last name for all of them.
And are we able to share any details about if they had a relationship or how all the individuals involved knew each other?
Yeah. So in Chief's statement, so we identified the father as a suspect, and he also killed himself afterwards with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So he was the suspect and killed the two daughter and son in this incident. Yep. Yeah.
I have a question for Dr. McManus. Is there any message you would say to your staff and students? I know it's been time for y'all with, you know, the Parkland student dying from the school bus and now this?
Well, as far as messages, I mean, you know, we are working day and night on the preventative side of issues by giving resources to people before tragedy occurs. And so I think that it's very important. That's why we are spending time with social emotional learning. That's why we're spending time assigning, you know, mentors to students. That's why we are investing in school social workers and in counselors and trying to make all that those preventative measures really put them in motion and have them stick so that we try to avoid the reaction to what we're doing now. But again, so I think it's to our family of our student, we will be there for them. We will be there for our students and staff, for both families of students, for both school staffs, for all of the kids. Both students were well loved and are active, and kids know them. So imagine, you know, and honestly, in this case, even anyone that didn't know her, the thought of this happening will be traumatic to many students. And so all I can say is we will be there to wrap our arms around the families and all the friends and all the staff members that have interacted. Again, both kids were well loved. And so we will do whatever it takes to make sure everyone's okay.
Was the 20-year-old a former student at Atkins High School?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you say anything, do you have anything you can tell us about the victims in terms of maybe what kind of activities they did or what their interests were? I don't know if you've got that information.
So the female victim was in color guard, we do know that.
Yeah.
And then the other individual was the current student at Winston-Salem State University, so we're not sure kind of what
Yeah.
extracurriculars he partook in.
Yeah.
And I know you said that there are some counselors already on campus. I wanted to ask a little bit about the climate of what's going on there right now. How are those students feeling, teachers?
Well, I will be, so at the incident with our student at Atkins, the team was there earlier today. The only people that knew this morning, because of course the investigation was ongoing, so this is kind of the public announcement about it. But of course, there was already some talk because kids are getting there, she's not in school. Again, an active student. And so we sent the crisis team early this morning, though, to start setting up the stage and to start working with our administrators there to be ready. And so now, as news is breaking, as more students are finding out, they will be there. And we'll start putting in motion the plans and the conversations and the group meeting and the individual counseling and all of that, which will continue on as long as necessary, as I said earlier, throughout the week and into next week, or as long as it's needed.
This might be a question for the chief, I suppose, or maybe even Winston-Salem State, but are you able to say whether the student at Winston-Salem State was living at home and going to school or sort of anything like that?
We don't have that information on us. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to be done for now. If you have any follow-ups, Brent Campbell and I will stay behind and Winston-Salem State in case you have a few extra questions, but we're going to let everyone kind of get back to their regular jobs since we've all been up early. But thank you guys for coming. If you have any questions, you can come up and see us. Yeah, you can go that way. No, I don't know that. I think we looked at it, but I don't think we looked at that.